Hello everybody, my name is Joshua and I'd like to welcome back to an episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where we discuss books, both new and old. I'll share with you pictures of my cats and make you wish they were your cats. And I'll drink enough coffee for me and everybody watching. Got my fancy cup today that my mother-in-law gave me. It says, Joshua beneath the steely exterior beats the heart of a dashing hero. And I'm drinking it's like a pumpkin cream coffee. It's kind of interesting. I'm here today with a tag video, first tag video of 2024. So, woo! I saw Celeste over at Book Bound Weirdo do this tag, and it looked like a lot of fun, so I wanted to do it as well. This is the book snack tag. And there are 8 prompts, and you better believe I have my paper here in front of me because there's no way I'm remembering all this stuff as I throw it on the floor. So we are going to go on and get right into it. So prompt number 1 is Sweet, the chocolate chip cookie of books. A book that is warm-hearted, uplifting, and makes you less cynical about the world. So for this, I went with Anthony John's 5 Flavors of Dumb. This is about a girl named Piper who is given a chance to manage this new upcoming rock band. Twist here is that Piper is deaf. So of course she doesn't really know what these guys sound like, if they're at all talented. She knows because of the vibrations that they're loud, but loud, well, in rock sometimes loud means good. But yeah, so she is tasked with setting them up with a concert, with a paying gig that has a bet going in that regard. And she just wants to prove to her parents and to herself that she can do this. And this is a very heartwarming read that I enjoyed way more than I thought I was going to when I picked it up. I loved the representation for the deaf community here. I love to see other people read this book. Prompt number 2 is Salty, Inherently Craveable, a book or series you couldn't stop reading or reaching for. This is the only one in this little tag that I don't have physical copies of, but I'm going with the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. This starts with the book Assassin's Apprentice. This is about a young orphan boy named Fitz who is taken in and basically given a rather menial job at the king's castle, but he in secrecy is taken on eventually as the apprentice of the king's assassin. This was a series that I listened to. The audio narration is incredible. I loved every second of it, and I ate this up. I don't typically like to get caught up in a series, honestly, because there's just so much that I want to read. And especially with my audiobooks, I've never done that before because I'm always concerned that I'm going to get halfway in and become bored. This was the first time that I kind of binged a full trilogy like that. I went from one to the next to the next, bought all 3 of them. As soon as I started the first one, basically, I bought all 3 of them because I knew that this was a trilogy that I was going to love. And despite hearing some things that made me concerned about the last book, I went into it anyway, and I'm so glad that I stuck with it because I loved it. This trilogy was just fantastic, and the best part about this is that with Robin Hobb wrote multiple trilogies that you can just read that trilogy of, or they're also kind of all interconnected with their locations, with their characters, etc., between, I think it's like 15 or 16 books. And I cannot wait to continue to delve into this into this world that Robin Hobb has built. I was so incredibly impressed. And the most exciting part for me is that I've heard that this initial trilogy is the weakest, which just kind of blows my mind because I loved it. So this is absolutely one that I'm going to be jumping further into this year, and a series that I'm craving more of it already. Alright, prompt number 3 is cheesy. Like Cheeto dust, you can't escape the cheese. A book you love because of or in spite of its cheesiness. I grabbed 2 here for this. First being one that some of you are familiar with. This is Lee Clark with Carnivore. And you want to talk about cheesy, man. This this book is about a small group of researchers in Antarctica that accidentally bring back to life, if you will, a T-Rex, and then they are trapped in Antarctica in this tiny research center as a T-Rex goes nuts and chomps people in two. And there are a surprising number of people that get chomped in two in this book. It is ludicrous and ridiculous, and the writing is well, it's about on par with the writing of a Richard Lehman novel, where it's down here, but if you're into that kind of thing, you're still going to have a blast with the book, and I had a blast with this book. Cheesy from start to finish, but a whole lot of fun. And then the other one that I want to bring up for this is Chet Williamson with Lowland Rider. This is basically about a man that ends up moving into the subway train station, goes on the hunt for a serial killer down there that may or may not exist. And there's actually a lot of really interesting elements to this book, and I think this is a very good book. But again, in regards to the cheesiness factor, there are also scenes such as when a homeless man picks up another guy over his head and throws him onto the train tracks where he is electrocuted, and then no one talks about it. They just get on a train and leave. And that's it. So things like that happen in this book where you can't help but laugh. But at the same time, it is still a really enjoyable, really good book. Prompt 4 is Deep Fried. You bit too soon into the hot batter and got burned. A book that hurt to read. Again, I picked 2 for this. I promise I don't do this for every prompt in this one. First one that was hard to read for a very different reason than the second one was Henry James with The Turn of the Screw. Henry James has just the most plodding writing style of all time. If you read a Nathaniel Hawthorne book and then stretch his sentences and paragraphs out to double their length, you pretty much get a Henry James. I mean, there are parts of this where you can read 4 pages and could easily summarize those 4 pages into a paragraph or less. And it was physically painful sometimes to continue reading this. I think that there is a good story in there, but only if you are willing to skim through it and read the prevalent parts. If you try and read Turn of the Screw in its entirety, word by word, sentence by sentence, you may just want to pluck your eyeballs out. Now, a book that was hard to read in a totally different way, but was absolutely a 5-star, was Junji Ito's No Longer Human. The original novel being written by Osamu Dase. This is bleak. It is heart-wrenching. It is upsetting. And there's no bit of positivity to this whatsoever. And that's a really difficult thing to handle when you're talking about over 600 pages. If you can handle tragedy and heartbreak, then this is a fantastic, phenomenal book from start to finish. It's just so depressing at the same time, and so it is not going to be for everyone, and it will hurt your heart to read this. Number 5 is Ice Cold. Sometimes the snack you want can only come from the deep freezer. A book that transplants you to a cold place. This is another one that I read fairly recently. This is Darcy Coates with Voices in the Snow. I'm not going to talk too in depth about this because Paige and I are going to have a video here soon where we discuss it because we've both read this book. But if you couldn't tell from the cover, this one definitely puts you in a snowy, wintry place. In fact, there's a blizzard going on, possibly the worst blizzard that these people have ever seen before. The main character is trapped in this old house that she thinks is abandoned, but it turns out there's another fellow living there. And they're totally trapped there. They cannot leave. When they attempt to go out just to her car to get supplies, they almost die in the cold and very nearly lose themselves. In fact, even though they're not even far from the house, they lose sight of the house because the blizzard is just so bad. Not the best from Darcy Coates, but still a very enjoyable read as well. Alright, my battery died, so I apologize if the angle is now suddenly different and or weird. But it's just part of it when you're filming these things. So yeah, Voices in the Snow will be looking for that video from my lovely wife and I coming up here soon. Number 6 is Sour. Some Things Are Too Sour to Keep a Straight Face. A book that made you make faces while reading. The first one that came to mind in regards to this was Richard Zane's Phantasmagoria. And this is one of the zaniest books that I think I've ever read. There are so many crazy elements that this man puts in this book that should in no way go together, but somehow he makes it work. And you'll be making all kinds of faces, smiling uncontrollably, confused looks, looks of disgust, just all kinds of weird faces that are going to make you look like Jim Carrey. But this book will do it, and it was a 5-star for me because of the simple fact that somehow Richard Zane makes all these elements work. And when I'm talking weird, I mean, as the book suggests, dinosaurs, robots, cannibal fairies, a brain in a vat, a giant squid, Nazi Amazons, super soldiers, a war dragon, an assassin cult, unicorns, were-ninjas, animal-human hybrids, and a Kaiju god of destruction. Oh, and a Shrey phallus. Yes, all those elements come into play. And yes, Richard Zane makes them work in a cohesive manner. That's the crazy part about this book. Great book if you're okay with some seriously bizarro kind of fiction, then you'll really dig this one. Elements of horror, elements of fantasy, elements of science fiction, all meshing together in a really weird combination that should not work, but it does. Number 7, The Healthy Snack. You picked this up because it was good for you, a book you read to improve yourself in some way. This is kind of cheating because I don't pick up self-help books or anything like that. And so this is a book that I'm reading this year but have not read yet. I did mention in my 50 books that I have to read in 2024. But I know this is one that's going to help me in a way. This is David Attenborough with The Living Planet. This is the man that is responsible for countless nature programs on BBC and the like. This man has taught generations of people about the world we live in, and I am hoping that he will do so here in this book for me and make me a better person, help me to understand the crazy world we live in, and maybe assist me in finding ways that I can help. And then the final prompt is juicy. Like an orange or watermelon, some snacks have plenty of pieces to share. A book that is profoundly shareable that you want others to read. When I read this book, I knew that I wanted other people to pick it up because it is just one of the most enjoyable books that I've read in recent times. Absolutely one of my favorites of 2023. This is F.T. Lukens with Spellbound. And just the cover alone, honestly, is enough to be spellbound. It's gorgeous, it's shiny, and when the light hits it, there's just all kinds of cool effects. This is just a fantastic book about two teenagers who end up assisting two different magic users in the city who are known for breaking hexes, curses, etc. These two are kind of rivals, but one of the apprentices really likes the other and keeps trying to get to know them better. The other apprentice is very hesitant to do so and very much pushes back against this. So there's kind of this frenemies thing going on, even though I don't like that term. That's basically what's going on here. And this book is just so cool. I got a lot of laughs out of it. The pacing is excellent. The slow build of the friendship is excellent. It has representation for the LGBTQ plus community, and it's just a great read if you are someone that is into fantasy, if you're into urban fantasy specifically, if you're into the paranormal. This is just a great book. I am not someone that typically enjoys humor in my books. I don't know why, I'm just not. But this one, it was like every joke worked for me. It's very rare occurrence for me, but it worked. Please do yourself a favor and read the extras at the back of the book, because there's some of the most hilarious moments in this book. Phenomenal, loved it. I want everybody else to read it, and you'll probably see me talk about it more in depth when I do a best of 2023. So keep an eye out for Spellbound by F.T. Lukens. And that will do it for this tag video. This is the book snack tag video. I was looking forward to doing this. Planned to do it last year, in fact, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I was able to supply some answers that I wouldn't have had before. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed my first tag of 2023. There will certainly be more to come. I feel like I have about 1,000 of them to do this year, but I'm going to try and space it out a little better than I did last year. Let me know down below your answers to some of these tags, or if there are any tag videos that you would like me to do. Again, still looking for suggestions on books. I'm hoping to make that a whole thing at some point this year, of just books that I read that were suggested by you folks. If you're looking for any suggestions, let me know what kind of book you're looking for, and I'll answer down below. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful week. Wherever you are, stay safe, stay warm, and most importantly, drink great coffee. Cheers.